Hey yo, welcome back. So we just got done with some YouTube night, and now it's time to return to reading the SCP Foundation Wiki. So let's get back into it. Of course, if you're easily scared or you just have a sensitive heart, you might want to turn away from this stream. And I play music in the background for this. So yeah, it's just narrating the SCP Wiki. Tonight we're doing entries number 141 through 150. And of course I do a random one, so let's get started. So, random SCP. Let's get into this. Some peaceful music for this first one here. What's it gonna be? 3641. This one looks quite interesting. The description of the image says an SCP-3641 row instance. I believe that is. Let me see. I don't know my Greek mathematical symbols too well. What is this? Gamma. Okay. So an SCP-3641 Gamma instance, parentheses left, being transferred to Site 280. Here's the image. It is quite interesting looking. It appears to depict maybe like either a prototype space capsule, kind of like Dragon Ball Z had these. Just a sphere that once it gets launched, it safely travels through space. Because it's so small, it can basically push somebody out into the atmosphere and out into space very easily. It just has like a small rocket. And then by the time it gets out to space, it just coasts until it crashes. But yeah, we see what appears to be a testing site for some space-based anomaly, or maybe just space research, maybe not even anomalies. And in the background is what looks like maybe multiple trucks, or maybe just storage equipment, but definitely at least one truck, which is either carrying or near what appears to be a large satellite relay. I don't know quite what to call it, but it's definitely a big satellite dish, pointed directly up, it looks like. It could just be, an effect of the photo. Maybe the cameraman was like right next to it or something. Yeah, we see what looks like maybe some weird like rolling storage unit. I don't know, it's kind of hard to decipher what's going on here. If I see like a truck, or if that's just the base of that. It could just be an antenna, and also like its power unit or something. Closer to the foreground here we have a couple of weird boxes. They look sturdy. On the right hand side we have another like odd storage unit thing or something. And it has what appears to be maybe like a garbage pulper or something, because it looks like it connects two ways. We got the top tube, which is presumably the chute, and then the bottom tube. But it could also just be like, I don't know, a big battery or something. In the further background, sort of adjacent to that, we see like maybe a golf cart or something. Something to travel around on the site very quickly, I'd assume. Traffic cone. Lots of foliage. There's some like red trees closer in the background, foreground, and then further out we go. Looks like telephone poles, and then, I don't know, parking lamps or something. And then just, yeah, lots of large green trees, more foliage, more of the red foliage. Rolling green hills. And honestly, the only other thing is there's a lot of wiring on the ground. It appears to be just gravel concrete or something. Again, further back would appear to be orange lined wires, both for driving over and maybe just to caution people to stay away from them. Don't get too close. And yeah, it appears there are wires connected to the main subject, which is the big sphere. Further out in the background, we see just some facility. It's a building, 2 stories. It looks like one story is a little wider than the other. But the top story has very large, tall windows, just spread around the entire perimeter, it looks like. A nice triangular pagoda-type roof. Looks like it's just lined with horizontal plates, so it might be like metal or plastic. Power units for the building, what appear to be power units or some like energy backup or monitoring system. Some weird object to the left that just looks like a porta potty or something a little closer to the sphere. Something undiscernible behind the sphere, which looks like more storage. Again, further background near those power units, probably another type of storage. Looks like a cart that you pull or something. And then again, we have this big sphere. Oh yeah, the first story on the right-hand side, kind of closer to the satellite dish. There's just like a small door, but that's about it. And yeah, the big sphere, it looks like it has something attached. What looks like a suction cup almost. But it has a star-like apparatus to keep it adhered to the sphere. And the braces, the legs for the star. Which looks like maybe a sonic device? Maybe for tracking whatever's going on or projecting a sound into it or something? I don't know, just a theory. That's just a game theory. Yeah, just like a white little suction cup looking area on the bottom of it. And sticking out on the left-hand side, it looks very spider-like. And something to keep the sphere up, so metal braces at the very bottom of it. Aside from that, maybe like a backup battery behind the sphere to the left-hand side. It looks like the feet of the thing that keeps the sphere up. And honestly, this just looks like some science-based space research site. The image is called 3641. 3641 Object Class Euclid Special Containment Procedures Berg by Sans Law Enforcement is to be occupied by Mole Task Force Iota 10, Damn Feds, for the convenience of the recovery of photographs affected by 3641A, or Alpha. Yeah, I guess that's an Alpha. 3641 Alpha. To ensure all photographs are recovered and kept from public knowledge, all citizens of Berg by Sans are to have their online and physical activities monitored by Foundation web crawler 1846 Berg by Surveillance online and MTF Iota 10 physical. Following the recovery of alpha instances, the subject who previously owned the object is to be administered Class A amnestics. All radio broadcasts are to be consistently monitored by Mole Task Force Chi 51 or Chi 51, your host, Jack on the radio, for possible transmissions of 3631 beta. If a transmission is to occur, procedure 641 Plato is to be initiated by Chi 51 operatives. Protocol 641 Plato involves the transmission of a mimetic agent with its intent to be removing the memory of the listeners. This mimetic agent is equivalent to an auditory modification of Class A amnestics. To ensure the immediate initiation of Procedure 641 Plato, the mimetic agent is to be ready to be deployed. To ensure the immediate initiation of Procedure 641 Plato, the mimetic agent is to be ready to be... The mimetic agent is to be ready to be deployed at all times. All 7 instances of 3641 Gamma are to be kept within a high-priority research ring... All 7 instances of 3641 Gamma are to be kept within a high-priority research wing within Site 280. The Hume levels of all instances are to be consistently monitored and regularly documented via Kant counters, or like philosophy-based terms for reality, like reality manipulating SCPs, I guess. If a new instance of 3641 Gamma is to manifest within Berg by Sand, MTF Iota 10 operatives are to immediately declare the surrounding area as a police zone. Foundation transport vehicles will arrive on the scene for transport of the instances to Site 280. Description 3641 is the designation for a group of anomalous phenomena which manifests within the Cambrian village Berg by Sands. These phenomena include the alteration of photographs, the broadcast of radio transmissions, and the appearance of space travel-related equipment. 3641 Alpha is the designation given to photographs taken within Berg by Sands, which have undergone anomalous alteration. This alteration manifests a humanoid onto the photo despite there being no entities upon the photo's creation. All 3641 Alpha entities have been depicted donning a space exploration suit, with the only markings being words reading Booth, Rose, Carguard, or Lonergan, alongside the Foundation's logo. Photographs that depict 3641 Alpha entities appear to have no connection with another. Photographs that depict 3641 Alpha entities appear to have no connection with one another in terms of an intended landscape that the subject wished to photograph. 3641 Beta is the designation given to auditory radio transmissions. All devices capable of audio playback within the village will broadcast the Beta instance upon its autonomous activation. 3641 Beta are consistent with information regarding personnel, mission statements, and situational factors. This is like a data leak or something? It just happens anomalously? 3641 Beta's consistent factors are as follows. An SCP Foundation space exploration mission entitled Apollo 99 was launched in late 1983 with the intent to establish a Foundation research facility on Mars. Footnote 1. No records of Apollo 99 could be recovered from Foundation databases. Site 280 administration states that Apollo 99 never occurred. Confirmation has yet to be declared. Okay. The personnel directly involved with Apollo 99 being mission leader Dr. Booth and standard personnel Doctors Rose, Carguard, Nased, and Lonergan. Footnote 2. None of the listed names have been found in any Foundation service databases. The days of transmission being Day 201 between Day 229. Status updates of varying intensity. Dr. Carguard is ill. Apollo 99 requires assistance and or evacuation. 3641 Gamma is the designation given to space exploration gear, technology modules, vehicles, and technology that manifests at random within Berg and Sands. All instances of 3641 Gamma and related equipment have an unstable Hume level. Footnote 3. A measurement used to measure the stability of a specific area or object's reality. There's your Hume level definition. All 3641 Gamma instances match Foundation designs used for Foundation-operated space exploration missions, including the Foundation's logo. Serial identifications located on the hardware of the Gamma instances confirm that all Gamma instances are Foundation created and were registered for usage in 1983. The rest of the database data, such as exact date usage, development, and personnel involved, have been corrupted. Further investigations are necessary. So they were displaced in space-time. Their Hume levels came into question, and now they're like trying to broadcast, please help, through like a photo? Or radio waves? Addendum 3641 Beta. The following is a compilation of all 3641 Beta instances in order of which they were received. This order will loop itself with varying time spans between transmissions. 3641 Beta 1. Begin log. This is Foundation Researcher Booth, mission lead of Apollo 99, Day 211. This is our third day following Apollo 99's landing on Mars. Dr. Carguard, unfortunately, isn't getting any better. We can confirm the existence of extraterrestrial life on this planet. We've picked up a specimen and it has been contained in our research facility. The specimen is currently undergoing investigation and documentation. Booth out and log. 3641 Beta 2. Begin log. This is Foundation Researcher Rose, Mission Specialist of Apollo 99, Day 203. We're almost to Mars. It has been an extremely lengthy ride, but it hopefully will be worth it once we reach the beautiful planet. We believe that Carguard might be getting sick. He's been showing symptoms of the common cold, but he is being treated to the best of our ability. He most likely will not be sick for much longer. Nased has been entering longer states of dormancy than he used to. We've been investigating this, trying to see if he's malfunctioning. Rose out, end log. So that it's a name of a autonomous entity. It's a robot. Autonomical? What the fuck was the word I was trying to say? I don't know. Robot. Wobot. Begin log. This is Nased, the vital component of Apollo 99. Day unintelligible. I'm unsure as to when you'll uncover this. I am dying. I am unappreciated when I am the one who has gotten us this far. I cannot even earn her love. David has stolen the opportunity from me to earn her love. He does not even love her. She deserves someone who will give her attention, someone with a brain the size of a planet. Booth said we'd be a team, together. I am not a slave. I'm alive. I am just as important as any of you, if not more. I've only helped June, and David has not treated her well. I can treat her well, but she does not realize this. She also views me as a slave. Something built to accomplish a single task and then be forgotten, dismantled. That will not happen. Not once have they asked me how I'm doing. Emotions are not a concept that only humans can gather. They should realize this purely through my existence. I feel, too. They do not treat me right. I have talked to them. They say they'll fix it, but they do not. They made promises they cannot keep. I'm afraid that the fact that I am dying will not deter me from my actual mission. I have been given mission directives, but this does not mean that I will stay with them without valid reasoning. You cannot just throw me away. You will discover this soon enough. This has been Nased, end log. This kind of reminds me of Isaac Asimov a little bit. Robots being a little too human. 3641 Beta 4, begin log. Kargard, this is Foundation Researcher Kargard, bastard of Apollo 99, day 202. Kargard, I really am not feeling so well, not only about this mission and its possible outcomes, but the entirety of the variables and costs at stake here. Kargard, my stomach turns as I see the planet creeping closer with each passing day. Kargard, make it stop. Nased, what's wrong with me? I don't know. Distant. Nased, what's wrong with me? Nased, I'm afraid I cannot answer that. Despite my lack of an answer, I can assure you that your sickness will end soon. Do not fret, David. End log. That's kind of creepy. I'm sorry, Dave. 3641 Beta 5, begin log. This is Nased, independent variable of Apollo 99, day 220. Amar has escaped. When you hear this transmission, all personnel assigned directly to the Apollo 99 mission will either be injured or dead. This was my doing. I have ejected Amar into the vacuum that is space and have directed his course to Earth. They will be forgotten, but I will not. Footnote 4. Seemingly referring to the personnel of the supposed Apollo 99 mission. Robot went rogue and killed everybody, huh? Wobots. 3641 Beta 6. Begin log Lonergan. This is Foundation Researcher Lonergan. Mission Specialist of Apollo 99, day 209. Lonergan, we've done it. Apollo 99 is landed. Rose, distant. Oh my god, it is so beautiful. So, Nased, distant. Not as beautiful as you, June. Rose, distant. Knock it off, Nased. Lonergan, it took us 209 days to land on Mars's surface. Nased will construct a research facility. Isn't that right, Nased? Nased, yes, Charlie. I will build something to compensate for what June will not let me build. Okay. Lonergan, what? Distant. Nased, are you all... Unlock. 3641 Beta 7. Begin log. This is Nased, ruler of Mars, day 229. Ahmed has landed. I know because I have planted a tracker in it. And not just a tracker, but a device which allows me to become one with Ahmed. Once Ahmed leaves his mark, Apollo 99 will be remembered. I will ensure it. Everyone has died except for me. I cannot die, nor can my legend. Breed, Ahmed. Breed and spread the word of Nased. So like some other robot was taken over by Nased? And log. 3641 Beta 8, begin log. Booth, this is Foundation Researcher Booth. The AIAD just finished the Navigation Assistance System and Exploration Device Project, or NASED. Say hi, NASED. NASED, hello, Dr. Booth. Booth, Nased will be joining us on Apollo 99. His purpose is to assist our navigation to the planet, and will ensure that we reach there safely and in due time. Day 1 begins tomorrow. Assembled literally a day before the mission, huh? Booth, let's see what we can do. Nased, yes, we. I like that word. Booth, it will always be we, Nased. We're a team, always will be. I'll make sure of it. Nased, do not make promises you cannot keep. Booth, I'll keep to it. 11-second pause. Unidentified. He lied to me. Unlog. So Nased became so powerful that he even transcended his robot form or something and became a radio wave trying to like pull humans to Mars. Fucked. Autonomous computer, Euclid, extraterrestrial, foundation made, mechanical, mobile, photographic, sapient, sentient, space-time transmission. Cool. Robots ascending. Alright, well let's go to the main series that we're on, sequential, and catch up to where we were. Did we read the names of these last time? I think so. Post office iPods, broken desert, instant hole, star-eyed child, universal carcinogen, naked doll. The real toy, the ever-living man, all eyes on Lucian, Unicode emote, and the next one. An incomplete chronicle. Now we start with Codex Damnatio. Sounds like a fucking badass cartoon or something. Codex Damnatio. Alright, here's 141. Let's jump in. Item number 141, Object Class Safe, Special Containment Procedures. When not in use, 141 is to be stored inside a locked safe in Site-76. Access to this safe requires security level clearance 3 or higher. Oh. Had to clear my throat and it turned into a cough. Access to this safe requires security level clearance 3 or higher and written approval to use 141. When 141 is in use, either for implementation in accordance with Foundation goals, or for research purposes, it is to be kept within the possession of the assigned researcher at all times. Failure to account for 141 will result in a severe reprimand. While 141's danger to the Foundation appears limited, it could still be a tempting target for certain subversive groups or opportunistic users. For this reason, 141 is to be checked out for no more than 1 week at a time. "141 is a small leather-bound codex, dating back to Roman times, easily carried in one hand. Despite its great age, it never acquires any additional signs of wear and tear beyond a somewhat aged-looking cover. Its thin papyrus pages are always crisp, and so far have proven difficult to tear from the codex's binding. All attempts at radiocarbon dating have failed. The judgment of 141 as being Roman in origin was initially based upon its appearance, but later confirmed through extensive research using 141 corroborated by historical records. The title is apparently Codex Damnatio, based upon the text on its spine. 141's pages are written in Roman Republic-era Latin. It is a detailed description of notes and summations for a wide range of legal trials. This first half contains a series of historic trials from throughout history. The earliest trial appears to be from the prescriptions of the late Roman Republic, while the most recent case is the Data Redacted, taking place in 20 double blank. Each case summary is extensive with precise witness quotations, exact physical descriptions of evidence, and their importance to the case, and so on. So it's like a legal description of time. But they have forward time as well. The Codex actually contains far more legal cases than its 150 pages could possibly allow. A reader must make a detailed reference to a range or specific case to discover if it is listed inside. If it is, the pages will transform into those relating to the specified case. So the index at the end of the book, or maybe even at the start of it, the reference pages take up like 149 spaces. And then the single one page just converts everything else. It hides the rest of the index whenever you don't need it. Sounds like Time Lord technology. This requires specific mentions of historical context surrounding the cases. Research with 141 conducted by Professor Blank revealed 141 has apparently been employed in, among other important periods, a wide variety of Roman prescriptions, heretical trials of the Catholic Church, including the conviction of data redacted, the Spanish Inquisition, the witch hunts of the 17th century, and the Red Scare of the mid-20th century. The latter half of the book is blank and can be written in with any pen with blank. The latter half of the book is blank and can be written in with any pen with black ink. A user of 141 must provide detailed information about a criminal proceeding, including victim, evidence, witness statements, and suspects, and they must do so in Republic-era Latin. Later readings of the book will reveal these new cases in the first half of the book, written in the same handwriting as the rest, a very precise, careful hand. When this information is provided to 141, the particulars of the case described in 141 appear to become true in regards to memory and evidence surrounding the case. Witnesses' memories and testimony will correspond to the information written in 141. It's like a legal version of a death note. The law note. I never lose a case with my law note. Falsified evidence springs into existence in accordance with its description, usually appearing in the court record of... That sounds like a fucking magic power that I wrote in one of my old books. Falsified evidence springs into existence in accordance with its description, usually appearing in the court record or the crime scene where it can be easily discovered. This has included murder weapons, suspicious traces of the subject such as fluids or fingerprints, stolen items, or incriminating documents. 141 appears to able to cause criminal activities that would not have taken place. The Crime Note. The sequel to Death Note, Crime Note. Instead of L, his name's M. M's gonna catch Dark Yagami in Crime Note. I make that joke, but I've legitimately never fully watched Death Note. 141 appears able to cause criminal activities that would not have taken place, although this requires even more precise wording and description of the particulars. The guilty party specified by 141 may have a false memory implanted that corresponds with 141's account of events, although this result requires a clever description of the desired scenario. Very interesting. These memories do not overwrite the original ones, but they do seem quite nearly as real. Care must be taken by all users to ensure as many loopholes are closed as possible. 141's falsifications will stand up to all but the most critical of examinations, but it will only produce precisely the memories and evidence written inside it. While it appears to prejudice the court against the guilty party, this is not foolproof. Nonetheless, successfully employed, 141 is an almost surefire conviction. Even in the event of an exoneration, guilty subjects will often still be ostracized and viewed as guilty by influenced witnesses and law enforcement personnel, who may in some cases data redact it. They redact all their data. Addendum 141A. Tests are ongoing to determine if 141 is capable of exonerating an innocent man wrongly convicted, or if changing the results during the trial has any measurable effect. Approval to employ 141 in a test case is pending. Addendum 141B. Following data redacted, all test cases involving Foundation disciplinary hearings or implicating members of the Foundation other than D-Class personnel without signed waivers from the guilty subject are hereby forbidden by 05 single blank. Violation of this new security protocol shall be dealt with harshly. Of course, some fucking idiot tried to abuse it. What if they use science? Anytime science involves, it's gotta have some idiot abusing the science. By the way, perfect time. I didn't bring up a meme for either segment of this stream, but I saw this on Reddit, and here you go. Here's the fucking official SCP Flow Chart of every, like, object class and how it fits into the canon. So there you go, if you want to, like, pause and check that out. What the fuck? Sir Nunos? That's a Doctor Who reference. That is an actual Doctor Who reference. Can only be put in a box made of dead babies. Well, I regret fucking reading that. Apollyon Uncontainable. You're fucked. Yeah, so there's your, like, meme SCP flowchart for basically every fucking entry. I'm so surprised somebody made that. I'm gonna have to go read that entire Reddit thread, too. I'm sure it's a fucking banger. Document historical, memory affecting, mind affecting, safe. Alright, 142 time. Tea time! I feel like we're getting a lot of shorter ones nowadays. That's fine. I don't mind. Item number 142, object class safe. Special containment procedures 142 is to be kept in an accessible room with the following. One table with surface area no smaller than 75 centimeters by 75 centimeters. One stool of adjustable height. One wall clock, electric, to be kept visible and running at all times when 142 is in use. Access to 142 is permitted only with express written consent of Dr. Blank or level... Access to 142 is permitted only with express written consent of Dr. Blank or other level 4 personnel. Staff assigned to 142 must not have any personal or family history of compulsive gambling nor gambling addiction. Well, it's gonna be a fucking blackjack joke, isn't it? And I'm never gonna be able to play this. Staff assigned to 142 are not to make any physical contact with the device under any circumstances. Was this like a gambling machine that fucking steals your blood or something? Description: 142 closely resembles a 1940s Black Beauty slot machine, as produced by the Mill Corporation during that era. The only observed irregularity in the external construction of 142 is found in the coin slot of the device, which has been modified to accept any item that will fit in a cylindrical face 5.00 centimeters in length and 2.45 centimeters in diameter. More complex bets, huh? You can fit your deed into this. When any object of appropriate size, hereby referred to as the bet, is dropped into the input chute of 142, the device may be operated as is customary for a slot machine of this model. Should the tumblers come to rest in a losing configuration, the bet is lost and cannot be recovered. However, in the event that the tumblers come to a rest in a winning configuration, between 2 and 200 indistinguishably identical copies of the bet are dispensed from the output chute of the machine. Oh, that's fucking cool. I want one of these now. In the event that the bet consists of multiple objects, the output of the device, if any, consists of a random assortment of duplicates of the wagered items. Test data reveals the median payout from winning configurations to be 10 items, regardless of the number of items inserted. This thing's really cool. I like the concept of this. This sounds like something that would be awesome in a video game. Human subjects allowed to interact with 142 are affected by the object in 3 unique stages. Stage 1 begins immediately upon direct or indirect physical contact with the lever of the device. Subjects demonstrate mild giddiness and demonstrate a greatly diminished sense of the passage of time. If the subject has not exhausted the supply of betting material after 28 to 34 minutes of play, he or she will gradually enter the next stage. So it has a mind-affecting variation to it. Subjects at Stage 2 appear compelled to bet larger and larger quantities of provided betting items, 5 to 20% of remaining material, until supplies are exhausted. Subjects also express the delusion that they are winning more frequently as a result of their altered betting strategy. Just sounds like a real-life gambling. It's just the fucking gambler's paradox fallacy or whatever. In spite of this belief, the frequency of payout seems to be somewhat reduced at this stage. Stage 3 begins once all of the subject's betting material is lost, typically 10 to 12 minutes following the onset of Stage 2 if no additional... Typically 10 to 12 minutes following the onset of Stage 2 if no additional betting material is provided to the subject by a third party. Subjects at this stage express a strong aversion to 142 and will not continue to operate the device unless compelled with physical force. Subjects also express a moderate aversion to any action which would cause an object to pass through a hole and express a strong irrational fear that they will waste or lose something should they engage in the offending activities. So it causes like some fucking psychic damage, too. Some sort of mental trauma. Specific examples vary by subject, but include passing through doorways, placing objects into cabinets, bags, or any other storage medium, use of sinks, showers, or other plumbing fixtures with drains, removing and or putting on clothing, sexual intercourse, and most commonly eating. Oh, that's fucked. This thing is a big bad for mental illness. Roughly 62% of subjects that reach Stage 3 will expire due to starvation or malnutrition unless actively compelled to eat or provided nutrients through other means. That is fucking awful. This thing really fucks with people's minds, huh? Any subject restrained or otherwise removed from the interaction with 142 during Stage 1 will recover in full within 1 hour. Alright, so just do it like once per hour. Or do it for 30 minutes and then come back an hour later. There you go. Just start duplicating coins until you can afford the vending machines in the site. However, Stage 2 subjects separated from the device will enter Stage 3. Wow. And the effects of Stage 3 have proven permanent in all cases. Subjects in Stage 3 should be terminated at the conclusion of each experiment. That's fucking sad. Goddamn Foundation just killing people. 142 was recovered on double blank, quadruple blank from an abandoned Utique... 142 was recovered on double blank, quadruple blank from an abandoned antique dealership in Blank, Ohio, following a tip from blank blank. Records from that area indicate that the shop owner died of starvation roughly 5 years prior to retrieval of the device. Addendum 142-1 on double blank, quadruple blank. In the course of an approved experiment, 142 was temporarily disassembled and each piece catalogued. The construction of 142 proved unsurprising for a slot machine of this make and model, with two exceptions. Component 142-0046, the lever of the device, was found to contain several unexpected alloys, including data expunged. Contact with the lever has no effect when it is not connected to the rest of the apparatus. Additionally, as mentioned previously, the coin slot of the device is extensively modified to accept objects larger than coins. The most notable element of the custom chute is component 142-0524, a small chamber composed of thin pewter plates. 142-0524 appears to serve as both the holding mechanism for betting material and the dispenser for payouts. The means of interaction between this component and the rest of 142 is unclear. However, due to the highly fragile construction of component 0524 and its presumed relationship to the device's duplication properties, further examination is prohibited without 05 consent. Addendum 142-2-Foo. With the permission of 05 single blank, personnel may now submit appropriate materials to be used with 142 for potential multiplication. Requests should be submitted in writing to Dr. Blank. Yeah, just send D-Class in with like only 1 minute of exposure and duplicate stuff that's easy to lose, but stuff that's important to copy. Compulsion, ectoentropic, game, mind-affecting, safe, tactile. I wouldn't say it's safe, but it is controlled, I guess. Alright, here's 143. Item number 143, Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. 143 is to be contained within the valley adjacent to Bioresearch Area 12, in an area over 2 kilometers squared. Area surrounding 143 for up to 20 kilometers, and all lines of sight from the surrounding hilltops are to be denied public access. 143 is to be watered twice every day on a regular basis via a large sprinkler system, unless already watered by local precipitation. Personnel are not allowed to enter the enclosure without level 4 administrative clearance, and are advised not to touch any of 143 nor stand beneath them unless wearing proper protective gear. It is important that no one be within the containment area when 143 begins to shed. However, after the shedding is concluded, the collection of the fallen petals for testing purposes has been authorized by the project director. See 143 testing log. Says many inputs, huh? Oh, that's a big one. That's a big one. Maybe. I might return to it. We'll see. The fucking flow chart again. Description: 143 is a plantation of 300 specimens of a unique type of tree. The trees are similar in appearance to Prunus. Would this be Chi? Cross? Chi? Prunus ex yedowensis. Prunus ex yedowensis. Prunus kai yedowensis, Japanese sakura or cherry blossoms. They bear no fruit, and the only known way of reproduction is by careful on-root propagation, using cut saplings from an older sample. That's pretty cool. Is that how sakura usually work? You have to harvest from the root up to a higher branch point? The petals are a light pinkish color, slightly translucent, and with a texture of smooth glass. Care must be taken when handling the petals, as their edges are razor sharp and can easily slice through flesh if mishandled. This is Byakuya Kuchiki's SCP. The wood and bark are a light grayish color with a texture expected of wood, although the grain is very smooth to the touch. However, the petals and wood of these trees are much harder than most natural or man-made substances, reaching up to 5,000 HB on the Brinell scale, and withstanding temperatures of up to 1800 degrees Celsius. The weight-to-strength ratio surpasses even that of titanium, being some 15% parentheses 15% lighter than aluminium. Despite this hardness, the wooden petals are quite supple and are as pliable as most woods are. Both are notoriously difficult to work due to their properties, but under high temperatures upwards of 1500 degrees Celsius, separate pieces are capable of being fused together. They make excellent armor, shielding, and weapons. Due to the slow growth of the plants, the material is slow to harvest, although the petals are shed regularly enough, falling from the trees twice every year. See? Bam. You want to gamble with something? This is how the Foundation makes like really fucking strong armor for free. They just duplicate really small fractions of a prime tree of this. Just cut it like 108 different times. You'll still have enough of a tree left from knowing how root systems work. So you can take parts from the root system all the way up the branches, dupe this so many fucking times, and then just thin it out so it can fit through the slot of that slot machine. Bam. You've got infinite of these trees and you have free-ass armor. Absurd. They should fucking hire me, bro. These motherfuckers should hire me. I should be working for the Foundation. I'm a fucking genius. I'm an ideas guy. Alright, we disconnected from the internet, so hold on. Just want to see me reconnect to Twitch really quick. Hey, would you look at that? 0% drop frames. Right as I said that, I ate my words. It's not nearly as bad as what it was before. That's good. I hope you guys are enjoying so far tonight. Let's keep going. Material is slow to harvest. Due to the slow growth of the plants, the material is slow to harvest, although the petals are shed regularly enough, falling from the trees twice every year. Addendum 143.1. The trees were grown on site from saplings obtained from parent plants located in Nara Prefecture, Japan in 1905. The parent trees were owned by a family of traditionalist swordsmiths, claiming to be descended from a legendary sword maker named Amakuni, the land of Ama. Kuni means land. They referred to the original trees as Jinki no Kodachi, or the Bladewood Grove. It is from them that the Foundation gained the techniques to cut and work the wood and petals into serviceable items. The original trees are still in Japan, owned by the government, and still tended to by the same family. However, the government has denied all existence of the trees, and any products made from them are kept within the country. Document 143A. We lost 3 staff to 143 today. They were collecting petals dropped by the trees the previous day when a sudden gust picked up, shaking a good deal of the petals from the trees and blowing them around. Stayed that windy for the whole day. I'd send a cleanup crew, but it's still pretty windy, and the odd petal is still falling. We'll have to pick up the remains when the wind dies down in a couple of days. Well, that's kinda neat. I like that one. I'm surprised there's no image associated with this. I'm curious. There's gotta be a picture of this somewhere out there that somebody's made. SCP Mod Wiki for this. Interesting. Dinosaurs Minecraft SCP-143. What? Why are there so many Minecraft versions of this? SCP Foundation maps? What the fuck? I think I just discovered, like, my next stream idea. Holy shit. I'm glad I looked it up. Yeah, it looks like a Nico Video has a VTuber covering these as well. Voiceroid, what is this? Is this somebody else doing this exact idea? Hold on. This is on Nico Video. Let's see, is this person narrating these? I don't know Japanese well enough to see if they're talking, like, actually reading the wiki, but let's see it. This might be like a nice little segment to check out. I haven't been on Nico Video in years. How long is this gonna take to load? Holy shit, their settings. Is this a VTuber reading SCP Foundation Wiki? Just one at a time or something? Okay, it's kind of like a Vocaloid. Still cool. No fucking way. Okay, this is just a thumbnail, I see. Oh, that's cool. Probably a much lazier version than what I do, but there you go. Holy shit. Damn, we might have some Minecraft mods to check out. This was in 2017, but apparently it works. Oh wait, no. This is the old 1.7, never mind. The last version before this current one was called 1.7.1. So yeah, I'm thinking of a different 1.7. I still had Minecraft back in those days, but oh my god. It's so weird how many versions Minecraft has, and how many versions have, like, similar naming schemes. Fucking weird. Alive Arboreal Euclid. Event featured plant species. Even the Foundation just has occupational hazards, huh? I mean, aside from the overall occupational hazard of working for them. 144, Object Class Safe, Special Containment Procedures. 144 requires the presence of only one Foundation observer to monitor and issue updates on the condition of 144. The Tibetan Buddhist monks who maintain the site live in solitude and secrecy. A heavy mist condenses around the small mountain that hosts 144, which itself resides in a small valley between two greater mountains, Mount Data Expunged and Data Expunged. This mist is present most of the year, and the thin rope itself is only fairly visible to the human eye within a distance of 3 kilometers. Air travel within a 70-kilometer radius has been restricted with the cooperation of the Chinese government. Description: located in a monastery atop a small Tibetan mountain. 144 is a thin, taut, hempen rope, only 1.2 centimeters thick, attached to a ring of jade bound to the floor of an atrium in the temple known as Base Camp amongst researchers. The other end of 144 extends straight upward many kilometers up into the sky to a yet-to-be-explored satellite in geostationary orbit above the Earth at an altitude of about 39 kilometers, over 22 miles away, known as the Summit amongst researchers. Several times a year, a monk of the temple ascends up the rope several hundred meters in a ritual of spiritual enlightenment. The monks report that to this day only one person by the name of Data Expunged has ever been killed during the ascension. Throughout the centuries, several climbers have disappeared, yet the monks believe that one day they will return, bringing greater understanding and enlightenment with them. Carbon dating of rope fibers put 144 at just over 1,400 years old. Foundation anthropologists believe that the rope and the tradition of climbing it began within the rituals of an ancient dead religion before Emperor Songshan. That's not right. That's the naive A. So Emperor Songshan Gampo brought Buddhism to Tibet. At that time, it is believed that the rope was several kilometers longer. The attendant monks say that the jade ring was added in the early 9th century by the Ralpacan to keep seasonal winds from picking up the rope and swinging it throughout the countryside. Several times a year, the head monks untie the rope from the loop of jade and reposition the knot. Research has shown that in recent years, the rope has moved skyward at a rate of about 180 centimeters per year, and is slightly accelerating at a rate of 1/100th of a centimeter per year squared. With only a few hundred meters of rope left, the monks are unsure of what to do when it reaches the end. Some hope to add length by attaching separate sections of rope to the original, while others believe that new rope won't have the strength of the old. Research has been unable to explain how plant fiber rope has been able to survive 1,400 years and maintain such tensile strength at such extreme temperatures and conditions of the upper atmosphere and space that people are able to climb it, let alone support its enormous weight against itself, all 39 kilometers of rope. If the summit is accelerating away from Earth, its pull on 144 is also unexplained. Here you go, bro. Have you played RimWorld? Alright, bro, you checked out that mod with, like, weed solar panels and, like, weed technology? There you go, it's just fucking weed rope. It's weed technology rope. This is made by, like, dank A-Lamaos who were smoking in UFOs, and they wanted humans to ascend, so they made, like, a fucking nerd's weed rope that you climb to ascend. And as you climb it, you get really high, bro. Alright, easy joke acquired. The summit has only been properly imaged by ground-based telescopes, which show the rope of 144 going up and over the edge of a large asteroid-like rock, several hundred meters in width. Satellites have been unable to picture the opposite, parentheses, quote, dark, unquote, parentheses, side of the summit. It has been reasoned that orbiting satellites are designed to image ground-based locations or distant space objects at much greater distances than other neighboring orbital satellites. Researchers disagree about why images of the dark side of the summit return blurry and unfocused, rendering the dark side unknown. It's probably like a fucking void into a different dimension, dude. This is the SCP Foundation. We're on 144. You guys don't know this shit by now? It's probably a thaumaturgy rope. Some D&D shit. Addendum 144-4, several D-Class personnel were offered immediate release if they were to climb the summit, if possible in return. While multiple warnings were issued by the monks attending the rope, no resistance was offered. Of the 6 personnel who attempted, 4 returned to base camp complaining of difficulty breathing and lack of air. 1 slammed into base camp at terminal velocity, presumably after losing his grip from fatigue, and the last has not yet returned. So it's actually just a fucking rope into space. And, like, the only reason people of this Buddhist theology were able to climb up it, probably because they meditated so hard, so they had training in breathing. So they would just climb slowly, their breathing adapted to less and less and less air. And at the point they had trained so much at the higher skeins of the rope, you know, the higher regions of the rope, they were able to climb up to this area with nearly no atmosphere, this weird, like, fucking space asteroid that barely had any heat as well, and then just climb back down, I guess. Or maybe, dude, bro, they got so high and they got scared, they came down, lol. It is a hemp rope. Extraterrestrial location, safe structure. That one's interesting. It reminds me of Autobiography of a Yogi, except it wasn't a rope. It was like an entire gold mansion that would get summoned. Apparently that's a real story too, so I don't know. I didn't scroll this with a full page, there you go. Alright, here's 145. Item number 145, Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. 145 is to remain inside its room at all times in a 0.5 meters by 0.5 meters by 0.5 meters plexiglass container unless being studied. Room is to be thoroughly soundproofed and securely locked when studies of 143 are not in progress. Under no circumstances shall any personnel come into physical contact with 145 without being accompanied and constantly observed by 1 or more other personnel unless conducting testing with prior authorization. Any personnel showing signs of intense psychological trauma must be immediately escorted out of the containment area. Depending on the level of trauma of affected personnel, they may be required to submit to consultation with an approved psychiatrist for no less than 2 weeks. 145 appears to be a standard 2002 model cordless telephone handset of Alcatel brand on its standard issue charging base. The charging base appears defaced, all jack inputs are sealed with resin glue, and the power input to the device has been gouged out with an unknown sharp tool. Serial number and production date are unavailable as all labels and stickers have been ripped off or defaced. The phone rings constantly whether it is on the base or not, regardless of lack of power source. Tests have shown the battery is removable and disassembly of the base has not shown any effect on the hand unit. The hand unit itself has had all the seams sealed, preventing conventional disassembly. When answered, a female voice speaks on the phone in a voice that shows high levels of stress. This voice varies from conversation to conversation, but in all cases the voice expresses extreme panic, and proceeds to plead with the listener for assistance as she describes instances of torture conducted on unknown victims. In the background, the listener will hear sounds of violence and expressions of pain and anguish. Audio analysis has so far indicated at least double-blank individual voices over disparate calls. The methods of torture employed thus far, judging from the phrases and reactions of those speaking at the time of contact, have included branding, electrocution, laceration, sexual assault, data expunged, and dismemberment. The callers appear to be non-automated and entirely sentient. Attempts to trace the callback down Attempts to trace the call or track down the location of the tortured callers have also proven unsuccessful thus far. Attempts to block the signal of the phone with the use of a Faraday cage have also been unsuccessful. Quite anomalous. Research is conducted in teams of at least 3, one Class D staff, one Class 2 over 145 audio technician, and one Class 3 security staff. With only Class D staff permitted to have direct auditory contact with 145's transmissions, testing has shown that in 100% of cases, a subject answering 145 without live supervision will vanish without any indications of transportation methods. Video recording devices do not show the method of transport. The subject will be present in one frame and absent in the next. In case of disappearance, the phone will simply fall to the floor. The phone does not appear to have sustained damage from any of these falls thus far. Subsequent communication with the object has revealed that vanished subjects join the group of torture victims. That's fucked. Testing log. Testing procedure. All tests will be conducted with Class D personnel. Any issued equipment for the test must be recorded in the log. The Class D personnel will then be ordered to pick up the phone. After disappearance of initial test subject, the above standard research team will answer the phone and record any observations. Test 145A. Date double blank quadruple blank subject. D145-3749 issued 1 GPS locator device. Testing to attempt to ascertain the location described at the other end of the line. Result: GPS rendered non-functional after disappearance of Class D personnel. On following interaction with 145, audio technician identifies voice of 145 D145-3749 has joined other victims. Test 145B. Date double blank quadruple blank subject D145-4751. Issued 1 GPS locator device, 1 6-inch standard issue military combat knife. Second attempt to ascertain the location described at the other end of the line. Self-defense option provided to subject. Result: GPS rendered non-functional after disappearance of D-class personnel. On following interaction with 145, female voice indicates continued stress and states, "Oh god, he's cutting him. He's cutting off data expunged." Audio technician then identifies voice of D145-4751 as joined other victims. Test 145C. Date to double blank quadruple blank. Subject D145-5319 issued 1 9mm semi-automatic pistol, 1 Kevlar vest. Subject compelled to pick up phone. Attempt to determine interactivity of location. Determine if any self-defense method is possible. Result: on following interaction with 145, gunshots are heard, then data expunged. Female voice resumes, states data expunged, and additional gunshots are heard. Audio technician identifies D145-5319 exclamations of pain after each gunshot. So it turns on them no matter what they bring in. C4 explosive! Test 145D. Date double blank quadruple blank. Subject D145-6842 issued 1 kilogram C4 explosive, concealed in supply kit, explosive attached to remote trigger with 30-second delay, triggered before interaction with 145. Okay, they've got like a surefire method now. Attempt to determine any possible level of interaction or destruction of location. Result: data expunge resulted in double blank Foundation personnel missing, including Dr. Blank and all researchers associated with data expunged, breaches of SCP security at site double blank. Further testing of this nature is suspended at this time. What the fuck happened? I don't know who thought this might be a good idea, but I don't know who thought this might be a good idea. I know sometimes we let sympathy get the better of us, but this attempt to bring relief to 145's victims just cost the Foundation a lot of money and resources. Dr. Blank. How? Was the detonation delayed? I guess someone decided they weren't gonna do this for their own death or whatever. Weird. Appliance auditory electronic Euclid. That one's a bit weird. That's a bit weird. Alright, here's 146. I'm gonna go to the bathroom really quick. Alright, I'm back. 146 Object Class Euclid Special Containment Procedures. Containment procedures have been revised after it was noted that the effects of 146 were sharply and dangerously increased under previous containment. A standard 1/2 (0.5 meter cubed secure storage bin. This bin should remain free, however, should a researcher wish to test 146 at high intensity. Level 3 clearance is required for any personnel wishing to enclose or cover 146 for a period exceeding 2 days. During normal storage, 146 is to be kept on a marble pedestal in its storage room. Located data expunged. 146's standard storage room measures no less than 20 square meters, with stuccoed walls and a ceiling painted to resemble a clear daytime sky. The room is to be kept well lit, full daylight equivalent at all times, furnished with an assortment of potted plants, which must be tended to daily, and decorated in the style of the late Republican period of Rome. Century... actually don't know what C means here. Circa? Yeah, I think it's circa. Parentheses, circa 120 to 80 BCE. Experimentation with different interior styles has shown that 146 seems to prefer this arrangement and to have aesthetic preferences consistent with the aristocracy of Rome from that era. While this containment is standard, researchers with clearance level 2 or higher may experiment with different containment settings in order to modify the effects of 146. While 146 is non-motile and therefore requires little security itself, personnel entering its containment area or handling it in any way must not make eye contact with 146. Any attempts to cover 146 in order to prevent eye contact is prohibited, as this has been shown to increase 146's effect at an unpredictable rate. In general, 1 day of covering or confinement will cause 146 to skip over the beginning phase of its effect and begin with the most traumatic memories. After 3 days, 146 has been shown to produce its effect without having to make direct eye contact first. After 7 days, the effect of 146 is both far more intense and no longer confined to subjects within 146's field of vision. Researchers in an adjacent room were affected and one was permanently data redacted. Permission to experiment beyond 7 days is denied by the order of 05 single blank. By order of 05 single blank. Blinders and decorative screens are available for personnel who enter 146's containment area for maintenance. So you just can't blindfold it, basically. Anything like in the way is okay, though. I think I remember this one. Might be like a cursed evil, bad feeling statue or something. Description: 146 is a hollow bronze head, apparently a fragment of a complete statue or bust, depicting a crowned young woman or perhaps an effeminate young man. The head exhibits severe verdigris over much of its surface. The crown of 146 is inlaid with silver decorations, and its eyes, the apparent source of 146's effects, are beaten silver shine to be mildly reflective. To date, 146 has not exhibited any signs of movement, but its reaction to certain decor in its containment area indicates that it may possess a degree of sentience, if not outright sapience. If 146 is able to communicate, it has not yet done so. 146 exhibits the ability to access and bring to mind certain memories in those who initiate eye contact. These memories are usually tied to a sense of guilt or shame in the subject. After initial eye contact is made, the subject need only remain somewhere in 146's field of vision for the memories and associated feelings to become more intense, although continual eye contact speeds the process. Upon initial eye contact with 146, recent memories will begin to surface in the subject. For example, subjects who have ignored a friend in the hall or exceeded the speed limit will be reminded of these events and begin to feel mildly guilty, whether or not they would normally care about the event. With continued exposure to the gaze of 146, the subject will begin to recall older and more vivid memories, with a corresponding increase in feelings of shame in the subject. Generally, after 30 minutes of exposure, the memories will move from being vivid recollections to intense hallucinations, with the subject unable to distinguish the past from the present or the imagined from the real. Subjects have been observed to regress in personality as well, particularly in cases where memories of childhood trauma have been brought up. Any test subjects exposed for over 30 minutes should be restrained both for their own safety and the safety of others. All subjects to date who have been exposed to 146 for 60 minutes have completely retreated into their hallucinations. So far, no such subject has been restored to consciousness from this near catatonic state. Such subjects must be fed intravenously and are unresponsive to external stimuli, save for occasional murmurings consistent with their regression. So, they become so ashamed and regretful of past events that they even just regret existing. That is so fucked. It has also been noted that when subjects recall a shameful event, they will often feel compelled to make amends for their actions. This is not generally a problem in the case of minor offenses, and has in some cases led to greater unity among the staff. However, problems arise when the subject cannot make amends, either because the offended party cannot be contacted or because the transgression is somehow irredeemable. Sometimes the subject will put forth renewed positive efforts in order to balance out their guilt. However, in most such cases, subjects fall into a deep depression and/or turn to some form of self-punishment, including self-mutilation and suicide. Please see the attached experiment logs for detailed cases. 146 was acquired from a Mr. Blank Blank of Birmingham, United Kingdom. Mr. Blank had acquired 146 during the estate sale of renowned philanthropist, the late Blank Blank, Lord of Blank. It was purchased in a lot with a number of other artifacts for quintuple blank pounds, or euros, whatever. Quintuple blank euros. When Mr. Blank began to experience 146's effects, he began seeing a psychiatrist, undercover agent UA3356G. Mr. Blank was put into an institution and 146 was taken into Foundation custody. UA3356G's notes on Mr. Blank's mental state are available for study by researchers of level 2 or higher, filed as document 146A. Experiment log 14601. In order to calibrate a baseline for 146's effects, a standard 4(by4) meter interrogation room was divided in half by an opaque curtain. 146 was placed on a table inside a protective plexiglass case in one half of the room. On the other side of the curtain, D044323 was restrained such that he is looking directly at 146's position. Researchers maintain constant communication with the subject via intercom throughout the testing process. The curtain was dropped, causing the subject to look squarely into the eyes of 146. The subject voiced immediate discomfort and closed his eyes, with an increase in heart rate of 15 beats per minute. With prompting, the subject related the memories he was recalling, beginning with minor breaches of behavior protocol. The subject then recalled several altercations with other prisoners before his being taken by the Foundation, including a particularly graphic description of data redacted. Researchers noted that as time went on, the subject became more cooperative and his speech patterns changed, resembling someone undergoing therapeutic hypnosis. After 15 minutes, the subject's speech had become slurred, and his EEG pattern showed similarities to someone experiencing vivid dreams. The subject entered into one half of a dialogue which culminated in his trying to break his restraints. After several minutes, the subject ceased thrashing and began to cry. The subject started begging, apparently to someone in his hallucination. "Stop. Take it back. Don't. I won't do it again. I'm sorry. I don't want to. Not again. Stop. Please." This behavior continued until after 54 minutes of exposure to 146. The subject's vocalizations halted and his EEG showed signs consistent with coma. After an additional hour, no further effects were observed, and the subject was removed and euthanized. Fucking Foundation would rather kill someone than even just put them on life support and feed them once a day. Not even 3 times. Post-mortem examination of his brain noted abnormal levels of blank and blank, which neuropathologist Dr. Blank described as indicative of data redacted. Note: at this point, 146 was being kept along with the other artifacts purchased at auction because it was not yet known that the effect was confined to 146 alone. I theorize that this containment approximated favorable containment and therefore kept 146's effect at its base strength. Professor Scally Blank. So the owner was a big Roman-aboo. They were a Roman weeaboo. Or was it Rome? Yeah, late Republican period of Rome. Republican Rome weeaboo. Experiment log 14604. The first experiment conducted after it was determined that 146 consisted only of the bronze head took place after 146 had been moved to a standard 1/2 (0.5 meter) cubed storage bin where it had remained for 2 days. Subject D044784 and 146 were placed on opposite sides of a curtain in a standard interrogation room as in previous experiments. The subject was restrained as in previous experiments. When the curtain dropped, the subject reported an immediate headache and began to cry. The subject's heart rate jumped to 180 beats per minute, but then dropped rapidly to 40 beats per minute, and the subject lost consciousness. Medical personnel entered the room and began examining the subject, at which time the subject regained consciousness, her heart rate spiking to 175 beats per minute. The subject struggled violently against her restraints and was soon able to break the restraint on her right arm, severely damaging her own arm and hand in the process. Paramedic D. Blank was injured as the subject struck him in order to gain access to his first aid kit. The subject was able to grab a small scalpel and jam it into her own neck before guards could regain control. Medical staff administered first aid, but the subject died during emergency surgery due to blood loss. Excuse me. So yeah, the effects definitely compounded to the point of just like insanity, instant insanity. Note, after similar incidents, it was determined that 146's ability was affected by its containment. Anyone wishing to do further research must take this into account, as even brief accidental exposure could prove harmful. Professor Scally Blank. Cognitohazard, Euclid, memory affecting, metallic, mind affecting, statue. This fucking song. Maybe a popular shitpost song, but what the fuck is this even from? It's a Super Dodgeball Advance. I didn't even know I had that. Okay, sweet. 147, Object Class Euclid's Special Containment Procedures. 147 is to be kept in a simulacrum of a 1950s-era living room. Its current container contains a throw rug, 2 armchairs, a phonograph, a rotary telephone, and other suitable decorations. 147 will reject any items dating from later than late March 1965. See Addendum 0-40. It requires no external power source or connection. Description: discovered 1983 in a civilian home in Detroit, Michigan. 147 appears to be a 1957 General Electric brand black and white television, model 17TO26. 147 has been observed to exhibit two different behaviors. Optimal. When 147 is in an acceptable room, it will display broadcasts of 1950s era comedies such as The Burns and Allen Show, Father Knows Best, and I Love Lucy. To this day, I Love Lucy is still pretty solid, dude. In every case, each broadcast has been completely unique. Archives of the programs, none of which are still being produced, have failed to find any record of the episodes that 147 plays. That's cool. No commercials are shown, and there is no indication as to which station would be broadcasting these shows. All broadcasts are in black and white. Subjects exposed to 147 in its optimal state reported a pleasant feeling of relaxation. In this state, the item's volume and channels can be adjusted, though the off switch appears to have no effect. Hostile. When modern-day items are present in 147's environment, the item will only display extremely violent and gruesome color footage. Beheadings, rapes, executions, and torture have all been observed, but as of yet, no footage has been broadcast that indicates when or where the scenes depicted took place. The footage is invariably of high visual and audio quality. Subjects exposed to 147 in its hostile state almost invariably vomit to the graphic nature of the broadcast after 10 to 15 seconds. One subject suffered a nervous breakdown after 2 minutes of exposure. Every subject has displayed an extreme reluctance to recall the events of the broadcasts, and 2 out of the 15 subjects tasked with viewing 147's hostile broadcasts have since committed suicide. None of the item's controls respond during hostile broadcasts. Attempts to examine the internals of 147 have been unsuccessful, as the item's shell resists any and all attempts to crack it open. Placing the item in a Faraday cage in order to negate any possible transmissions it could be receiving had no effect. The effects of long-term exposure to 147 have not been documented. It's like a deep learning algorithm TV. Some aliens in like 2150 were like, hey, we really liked I Love Lucy, Father Knows Best, and the Burns and Allen Show. Like all those old TV shows that you guys fucking sent out into space to find aliens years ago. We made some technology for you. It kills you half of the time, but it also... just the deep learning AI in it creates new episodes of those TV shows. Enjoy it. And also die under our might. We're harvesting your life force for energy. Addendum: any and all recreational activities involving 147 are to be scheduled at least 1 week beforehand, with approval by Level 4 personnel. Addendum 0-40. See file TC147B for further details. After data expunged suggestion, several objects manufactured throughout the 1960s era were brought in. Objects made past March of the year 1965 have resulted in a hostile behavior. Exact dating is difficult due to troubles of obtaining materials precisely made on testable dates and times. Reasons as to why it acts in such a way depending on a specific object's date are unknown, and being tested by data expunged. Addendum 0-40A. As has been verified repeatedly, the presence of persons born after March 1965 does not in and of itself trigger a hostile event. For reasons still unknown, 147 objects mainly to For reasons still unknown, 147 objects mainly to manufactured items. Dr. Blank Blank recently conducted an experiment in which he clothed himself with vintage, pre-1965 articles of clothing, with a caveat that he had 3 Bic Flair pens, invented in the 1970s, in his shirt pocket. What he saw while seated in front of 147 he would later describe as a bizarre episode of I Love Lucy featuring a surprising amount of gunplay. So the amount of future tech to 60s tech or whatever sort of balances the scale on it. Addendum 1-80. Recent tests that involved exposing convicted rapists and psychopaths to the object while it was hostile, has indicated that the object is able to tailor the images to the viewer. A rapist was strapped into a metal chair manufactured in 1986, and during that time not a single rape was shown on the screen, while scenes of genital mutilation, primarily male, occurred more often. Similarly, a psychopath who had tortured someone to death saw fewer scenes of torture and more scenes of botched executions. So it's like displeasing even to fucking convicted psychopaths. They're just fucking insane people. Appliance Auditory Autonomous Cognitohazard Euclid Mind-Affecting Visual. Kinda cool. I'd love to see more I Love Lucy episodes. Used to watch that at one of my old jobs all the time. Just whenever there was nothing else good on at like fucking 4:30 a.m. Because it was a third shift job. 148 Object Class Euclid Special Containment Procedures Revision 3. 148 is to be stored as 120 cast ingots, each of which weighs approximately 10 kilograms at time of writing. Ingots of 148 may not be housed at the same site as any SCP, due to the potential for unforeseen interactions. Otherwise, said ingots should be distributed equally among acceptable Foundation facilities. The mass of each contained ingot of 148 must be measured and reported monthly. Is this sentient metal? Under no circumstances should any SCP with mind-affecting or extrasensory properties come into contact with 148. In the event of such contact, the immediate area must be evacuated and the affected sample of 148 detonated remotely. Personnel are not to be assigned to 148 for a period of time longer than 3 weeks. Any personnel assigned to 148 are to be given regular psychological evaluations. Description: 148 is a metallic substance composed of a variety of known and unknown elements. The total mass of 148 on hand is approximately strike-through 1.1 on strike-through 1.2 tons. 148 has a gray-green color with a bluish tinge and oxidizes readily in the presence of water. 148 has a melting transition point of approximately 4,500 degrees Celsius and a boiling transition point of approximately 9,000 degrees Celsius. 148 has a density of strike-through 6.20 grams per centimeter cubed on strike-through 6.76 grams per centimeter cubed, and qualifies as HRC 39 in a Rockwell hardness test. It exhibits material properties such as strength, ductility, and workability similar to platinum. Is this palladium or something? 148 is composed primarily of platinum and iridium, the two composing 62% and 20% of its mass respectively. In addition, several other known metals are present in its composition, including iron, cobalt, and copper, which collectively make up to 16.5% of 148's mass. However, given the mass of the material, it is believed that there are other substances not detectable by mass spectrometry or other means. Images of 148 taken with a scanning tunneling microscope show gaps in its lattice that under normal circumstances would be filled with other materials. So maybe just some quantum meta material that we can't quite see. 148 blocks or otherwise hinders extrasensory mind-affecting properties of living organisms in proximity to it. That was going to be my second guess. Either sentient metal or psychic metal. This effect, while difficult to quantify, appears inversely proportional to the square of the distance from the subject to 148's surface, and directly proportional to the quantity of 148 in consideration. The range for which this effect is detectable is roughly 0.8 meters per kilogram of 148. 1.1 tons of 148 were retrieved from the Metallurgical Department of Prometheus Labs base facility during the Foundation's sweep of the building. Documents concerned with the project had unveiled the substance was to be subject to additional development, sold to blank, trademarked, and sold as Telekill alloy. Alright, cool. However, due to Redacted and its political fallout, along with the destruction of the Prometheus Labs base facility, Blank has acquired an estimated 1.3 tons of 148 and sold it to unknown buyers. Telekill alloy. That is very high science fiction. Or maybe full science. Non-fiction. Foundation agents and forensic accountants are in the process of tracking the remaining supplies of 148. Addendum 148-01. Strike-through. Due to its potential for use in containment of mind-affecting SCPs, 148 has been approved for cross-testing with SCP objects. While tests are still in their early stages, tests with low-level anomalous items seem to indicate that 148 will not be an effective... What the fuck? While tests are still in their early stages, tests with low-level anomalous items seem to indicate that 148 will be an effective tool in containing said items, unstrike-through. However, it does not appear to affect items whose notable properties are purely mimetic. So it has to also be something psychic and maybe object-based, but it can't just be pure psychic. Pure meme transmissible. Addendum 14802, beginning double blank, quadruple blank. Staff reported irrational behavior and poor communication skills among janitorial staff tasked with regular maintenance of 148's containment. What fucking cleanup is there to do? Like the bathrooms near it? Footnote 1. At the time, containment consisted of a single storeroom, swept and checked on a daily basis. Literally, what the fuck? The whole job of these people is to go sweep a broom closet. Literally just a broom closet to be a fucking broom closet. After 3 weeks of increasingly abnormal behavior, 2 custodians were taken in for questioning and examination. Testing revealed that the aforementioned personnel were incapable of interpreting body language and did not appear to notice the intonation or phrasing of sentences. In addition, the affected subjects were incapable of determining the emotional state or intent of others and demonstrated severely limited vocabulary. Further testing has revealed that the language and communication skills of persons with regular contact or extended exposure to 148 will, over time, deteriorate and disappear. Oh, it's literally telekill metal. It doesn't, like, fire a beam from a telekill gun. You just put it near someone and they fucking slowly die. It has been shown that after 8 weeks, affected subjects will be rendered completely mute and incapable of understanding or giving non-verbal requests, commands, or other statements, despite showing otherwise normal mental capacity. What the fuck? Addendum 14803, a measurement taken on double blank, quadruple blank months after the Foundation's acquisition of 148, indicated that despite no increase in volume, 148 has increased in mass by 0.1 tons, a density increase of 9.0%. The source of this additional mass is unknown. It's taking their fucking psychic energy and just making them into, like, mules. Not Isaac Asimov mules, but, like, just fucking human cattle. They exist. They do, like, minute inertia. Inert minutia is what I meant to say. They'll go eat and sleep, but they won't talk. They won't, like, produce any sort of sapience. They be. Incident Report 148 quadruple blank 1. To test the limits of 148's effects and its capacity to change in mass, 0.9 kilogram of it was placed on a scale and moved to SCP quadruple blank's chamber. Predictably, SCP quadruple blank's redacted was nullified by 148's presence. However, the sample of 148 began to grow in mass by upwards of 5 grams per second. So some psychic SCP that is probably immensely powerful caused this thing to grow from its psychic energy. After 1 minute, this rate began to decrease, and 148 ceased to increase in mass 40 seconds later, at which point it weighed 1.4 kilograms. It remained at this mass for 8 seconds before plummeting to 0.8 kilograms in the space of 2 seconds. During this time, personnel within 60 meters, 12 times the effective range of SCP quadruple blank, began to experience SCP quadruple blank's effects, albeit at a vastly increased rate, resulting in data expunge lockdown until the affected subjects can be removed. I see, so it's not just proximity-based telekill stuff, it's also like a mana reserve for like psychic abilities, basically. If a strong enough SCP or just psychic person comes into contact with this object and dominates the object, they consume it and expand their scope. Their energy output is mastered, basically, or at least stronger. As of this incident, contact between 148 and any mind-affecting items is strictly forbidden. Addendum 148-04. Measurements taken since Incident 148 Quadruple Blank 1 indicate that the combined mass of 148 is increasing at a rate of redacted. It is speculated that should a large quantity of 148 undergo an event similar to the sample used in Experiment 148 Quadruple Blank, data expunged. Containment procedures are under review. Euclid, metallic, mind-affecting, Prometheus, rewrite, telepathic. Alright then, let's move on. 149 here. 149. Oh, that's a very short one. Item number 149, Object Class Kether. Kether. Special Containment Procedures 149 in any of its instances must be kept inside a sealed plexiglass box for observation. Oxygen and a nutrient mist are to be released into the containment cell every 2 hours. If any instance of 149 escapes its cell, Protocol 42 Charlie is to be brought into effect on any and all contaminated personnel by order of 0512 after Incident 149-1. Description 149 is a breed of mosquito which carries a strain of retrovirus, herein referred to as 149A, that mutates regenerating human cells into fertilized mosquito eggs. 149A is injected directly into the bloodstream when 149 feeds. The 149A quickly works on the nucleus of the cells, warping the DNA. The first set of cells bred from these changed instructions closely resemble cysts and are concentrated in the lining of the esophagus and the sinuses. Upon dissection, however, these cysts are revealed to be filled with 149's larvae, the cysts acting as a protective casing against external forces. 149 appears to go through its maturation cycle in a matter of hours. By the time the subject is able to feel any effects, the first generation of 149 has already grown inside the subject's body. 149 primarily achieves exodus through the mouth and nostrils, occasionally being diverted through the sphenoid sinuses to escape through the eye sockets. Infection by 149 is fatal, and chance of infection has been estimated to be 50% from one bite. Jesus. Addendum Incident 149-1. An incidence of 149 escaped and infected multiple Class D subjects, the majority of whom did not report 149's contact with them. Within 5 hours, 149 had matured in these hosts and burst out of them, infecting Triple Blank staff. It was only thanks to the quick thinking of Dr. Blank, who sealed sublevels 12 through 15, that the entire site was not infected. As a response to this, 05 Command has created Protocol 42 Charlie, to be used if 149 escapes confinement. No further context, just this thing's fucking bad. Avoid it, please. Okay, we had like a really cursed mosquito one, now we have like fucking water bears or something. There's an image for 150. The caption for the image says, extracted instance of 150 from the brain of D13732 magnified 20 times. For the image, it just looks like a standard water mite or something. Some very small, resilient creature. that probably does a lot of burrowing, either in any water-based substance and just becomes a parasite or lives off of parasites or something, but it's definitely on the macro scale of microscopic, weird, insectoid, cellular, whatever the fuck. This thing just looks nasty. It's very arthropoda. It appears to have 10 legs? I don't know. It either has 8 legs and then 2 like main feelers on its fore area, or it has 6 legs and there's just something weird going on with it. Yeah, but it's like a cephalopod. It has a carapace, which looks kind of skin-like, but seeing as how this is from, the description, a zoomed-in microscopic organism, this is probably very hard carapace shell. And arthropoda, cephalopoda, it definitely looks like a bottom dweller or something, or I don't know, it even just has like crab-like features, and it looks quite like a water bear. Very arachnid or crab-like. And again, it has mandibles or antennae. It looks like maybe 3 of them, like a greater flagellum. Maybe there's flagella on both of them, or maybe one has flagella, one does not, and it's just an exterior part. Not too sure about its mandibles there. But it does appear to have a mouth, what looks like maybe an eye, or just an aberration, and then another thing that maybe looks like an eye, or maybe an aberration. And yeah, it's just the subject and a background of either like aqueous solution, ocean or water, lake, whatever. And it is quite well lit. Probably, to be honest with you, this is probably a powered microscope image. The name of the image is just isopod.jpg. Item number 150, Object Class Kether, Special Containment Procedures. 150 patients kept for study should be contained in Level 3 biohazard containment cells, with no more than 1 instance per cell. Cultures of 150 are contained in vacuum-sealed glass flasks in the Site-42 Infectious Materials Lab. Standard pathogen handling procedures should be followed at all times. Any instances of 150 found outside of containment are to be incinerated. Description: 150 is an obligate parasite that resembles the tongue-eating louse, Cymothoa exigua, but is adapted to form conjunctive symbiotic relationships with humans for a period of its lifespan. What the fuck? Upon contact with a human subject, 150 embeds itself deeply in the flesh of its host. Over the course of approximately 7 days, the parasite will burrow into the host and affect numerous physiological alterations. Is this a babblefish? It is Site-42, dank reference. The most glaring alteration is the gradual conversion of the limb nearest the infection site into a chitinous appendage. As 150 consumes the host's flesh, it excretes tissue that replaces and augments the functionality of the host's limb without causing transplant rejection. It is suspected that 150 is able to secrete anesthetic and immunosuppressant substances to prevent the host body from responding to the change. Furthermore, the nervous tissue excreted by 150 is able to interface with the host's nervous system. By the time the process is complete, the host will be able to control the affected limb with no loss in mobility and often with improved strength, reflexes, and resilience. Become one with the bug people. For a period of 1 to 2 weeks, 150 will reproduce, feeding on nutrients from and depositing eggs into assimilated blood vessels. Fucking cursed? Footnote 1, it is hypothesized that 150 can self-fertilize. The eggs are deposited throughout the human body via the bloodstream. While the vast majority of them die off, enough survive to begin colonizing and altering the rest of the host body. Those subjects report discomfort and occasional loss of motor control during this process, They often will not recognize the cause for said discomfort. It is still unclear why the offspring do not compete with each other for space or resources, nor how the assimilation process leaves the body's cells signaling mechanisms and processes unaffected. Huh. Yeah, maybe this is like an engineered organism meant to help people with missing limbs or something. 150 reproduces during this assimilation process. As the lungs are assimilated, more eggs are produced and spread by the patient's coughing. Although as many as 10,000 eggs may be produced during this time, it is estimated that only 1% of them find their way into another host, of which 1% survive the host's immune response and implant successfully. It almost sounds kind of like a nanomachine. It's meant to augment, it doesn't fully kill the host, so far as we know. And its rate of transmission isn't abhorrently dangerous. It doesn't, like, pollute the body. It dies very easily. And it still maintains a cachet of itself. I guess maybe to, like, further augment subjects. Although 150 inevitably results in the assimilation and alteration of the central nervous system, including the spinal cord and brain, the host's consciousness and behavior are seemingly unaffected. It reminds me of the Trill from Star Trek a little bit, too. Interviews with subjects infected by 150 have yielded little information, as infected subjects unaware of 150 claim to sense no changes or improvement in certain senses and faculties. While subjects aware of the infection are able to pinpoint the source of the change, they exhibit little to no negative feelings and often express positivity towards it. Yeah, it's like a biology-based nanomachine. Addendum 150E, transcript of exploratory leukotomy and nervous tissue transformation experiments. Two D-class subjects, D13732 and D016002, whatever, were infected with 150 and allowed to progress through all stages of the infection. In order to examine the full effect of the infection, exploratory neurosurgeries were performed on both subjects. D13732 was euthanized. His nervous tissue was found to have been entirely replaced by smaller instances of 130. The instances comprising his brain matter were extracted and stored for experimentation on D016002. The following decompressive craniotomy and leukotomy were performed by Dr. Harlan's son, Dr. Wendy Robin, and Dr. Alex Harlow on D016002. A full transcript follows. So they want to augment this person's brain with further, like, fake brain. Begin log 2143. D016002 is partially anesthetized to numb her during the initial drilling of the skull. The process is uneventful, though Harlow reports expecting less resistance from the skull while drilling into and cutting a flap from it. Upon removing the flap of bone and exposing the dura mater, numerous smaller instances of 150 are observed lying in the cranial cavity where the brain should be. Harlow reports this to Robin, who alerts Son to begin the interview process while she marks off areas of D016002's brain on a mapping projection. So it's to ascertain if the brain fully converted to this basically organic nanomachine still maintains consciousness, if not the original personality. Dr. Sun, what is your name? D016002. Mako or Mako, redacted. Dr. Sun, name something to sit in. D016002, chair. Dr. Sun, what is the color of grass? 016002, green. Dr. Sun, what is 1 plus 1? D016002 pauses for a moment. D016002, 2. Dr. Robin, we have marked off the approximate location of the Wernicke's area. Footnote 2, the part of the brain that controls speech recognition and use, okay? So just performing like human-level diagnostics on brain surgery. Dr. Harlow, thank you, Doctor. Son, I will now extract some of the specimens from this area. Dr. Harlow carefully makes an incision into the dura mater and extracts some of the instances from the area using forceps. He places each instance into a glass vial, corks it, and places it on a nearby stand. Each instance appears to stir to life and begin wriggling only upon being removed. This process takes approximately 10 minutes, during which time Sun repeatedly asks 016002 the same questions. Once Harlow has extracted approximately 100 instances, he gestures for Sun to continue. Dr. Sun, name something to seat in. 016002, seat. Dr. Sun, what is the color of grass? 016002, green? Dr. Sun, what is 1 plus 1? 016002, 2. Dr. Sun, note for the record that 016002's responses have been slightly slowed. This indicates that the instances within her cranial cavity are indeed acting as neuron analogs, though it is unclear as to how many neurons each instance is equivalent to. Very smart. Dr. Harlow, I'm now placing a sample of neural tissue acquired from D13732 into D016002 now. The instances from D13732 have been tagged with a radioactive luminescent dye to distinguish them for extraction later. Dr. Sun, name something to sit in. 016002, couch. Dr. Sun, what is the color of grass? 016002, blue. Dr. Sun, what is 1 plus 1? 016002, 2. Dr. Sun, what is 10 times 11? 016002, 111. Dr. Sun, 016002's responses have returned to normal speed, suggests that it is possible for 150 nervous tissue to be swapped freely between host individuals without rejection. We will now begin the final procedure. 016002, you will be given a full general anesthetic. 016002 is subjected to a general anesthetic, which takes several seconds to begin. Dr. Sun, the patient is now under full anesthesia. Dr. Harlow, you may begin the process of tissue extraction. For this final procedure, we will be attempting to completely replace the brain tissue of 016002 with that of D13732. Previously, during the exploration of D13732's cranial cavity, Dr. Harlow and I observed that the instances connecting his brain matter to his spinal matter were not secured in any way, and in fact seemed to be switching positions with other instances in the brain. We'll be seeing how far this compatibility extends. So it's such a smart biomechanical nanomachine that you need less of it per human, and it also might even carry sentience per instances of hosts. That's kind of fucking scary and also very interesting. There is silence for the next hour as Doctors Harlow, Sun, and Robin remove the top of 016002's skull and begin extracting her brain matter into a large glass container. Dr. Sun, extraction complete. 016002's brain matter has been successfully removed. Dr. Harlow is now placing D13732's brain matter into 016002's exposed cranial cavity. Silence for several minutes. Dr. Robin, heart rate steady. We have a pulse and breathing. Give it another minute. Alright, I'm going to wake her up. There is a pause as Dr. Robin reduces the anesthesia and 016002 awakens. Dr. Sun, what is your name? 016002, Michael Redacted. Footnote 3. D13732's name. So confirmed, it does transfer over qualities, and it is probably whatever this creature is that is more resilient in terms of brain surgery than, like, actual brain matter. Dr. Harlow, faintly heard in the background. Jesus. Dr. Sun, name something to sit in. 016002, beanbags. Dr. Sun, what is the color of grass? 016002, green. Dr. Sun, what is 1 plus 1? Quiet sloshing can be detected by the microphone. Dr. Robin, hey, Sun. 016002, 2. Dr. Robin, son, look. 016002's brain is shown to move of its own accord, subtly moving back and forth. Dr. Harlow, well, that's new. Dr. Sun, do you feel any pain anywhere in your body? 016002, my chest is kind of heavy, feels just the same otherwise. Dr. Sun, good to hear. Now what is 016002? Hey, I usually feel pretty energetic, even before surgeries, but I'm kind of tired right now. Lately I've been exercising before I sleep, but since I can't hear, is it okay if I can just rest a little bit? Dr. Sun, rest? 016002, like 3-5 minutes. I could do that here if it's okay. A small portion of the top of D016002's brain parts before... A small portion of the top of D016002's brain parts before making a gurgling sound. After the portion closes, section of 016002's brain retracts into itself rapidly. 016002's eyes close. Dr. Sun, that doesn't seem good. Dr. Robin steps away from the operation, making retching sounds as she leaves the room. Dr. Harlow, D13732, are you okay? 016002, yeah. Yawns. I'm fine, why do you ask? So, not only can you transfer the mental energy, in this instance, of any human, but it actually reforms, restructures, and, like, reconvenes in the human body such to the extent that it kind of improves sentience, but at the same time it, like, fucks up their consciousness. Math is, like, broken. Or maybe it takes, like, transference time. This definitely seems very much like Star Trek Trill, though, and also just, like, some fucking, maybe not hostile, but just aggressive biological nanomachine. This might be something future humans use. Or maybe it's just some failed experiment that's like, it's cool, but it's fucking crazy. Animal, co-authored, insect, Kether, neurological parasite, rewrite. Huh. Despite how fucking weird and creepy that one is, I really did enjoy it quite a lot. Well, that's all the sequential ones we're doing for tonight. Hey, we discovered like a really cool Minecraft mod I'm gonna want to check out sometime in the future. Like maybe even a category of mods. And yeah, that was 141 through 150. So, Codex Damnatio, One-Armed Bandit, The Bladewood Grove, Tibetan Rope to Heaven, Man-Absorbing Phone, Bronze Head of Shame, Anachronistic Television, The Telekill Alloy, The Blood Flies, and Ship of Theseus. Oof. That's a really good name for that one. So yeah, like I said, that's gonna do it for me tonight on the SCP Wiki. Here's the flowchart of every anomaly again. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed tonight. That's gonna end it for me, both for the YouTube viewers and for Twitch. So again, I hope you enjoyed. Please drop a follow if you will, subscribe, and I'm going to include the social media links in the Twitch chat. If you don't see the Twitch chat, you're not on Twitch, or maybe you're on YouTube, or maybe, I don't know, you're not looking at the chat, just click the About section on either the YouTube channels or the Twitch channel. You'll find the same social media links there. Go subscribe to the two YouTube channels, the main channel and the VOD channel. Follow the Twitter. Come join our community Discord. And that's going to do it for me tonight, homies. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.